So our project will be called PostOffice, and let me open this project. So basically I just created this project. This is a very simple process in Android Studio. We can just create a new project and then we will get a very basic simple project structure. We will have one app folder with us, and then inside this there will be one activity because I have chosen one activity and the respective XML layout. Okay, these things we get. So I have given the package name as com.nativemobilebits.postoffice. This is our application name, and as you already know, so what post office is going to do we have seen in the demo. So if you see inside my GitHub repo, this is the early description. So this will be a messaging app where user can send messages, locations, user can exchange audio, video calls, and multiple other things which we are going to see next. Okay, so this is our basic project which we have created. Inside our manifest also you can see the package name. This is our native mobile bits channel name and then our project name. Okay. Okay, so this is all about package name and our project name. Now, as we already know, we are going to implement multiple functionalities, multiple features. So we are going to follow modular architecture inside this code base, as there will be multiple different functionalities. So we will divide those functionality into different modules, and then each module will have some dependencies like this. Okay, so to centralize this, we are going to implement one directory which will be called buildSrc, and this will be at project root here somewhere, and this will contain all the information regarding the build. Okay, basically it will contain all the information related to the dependencies, their versions like this. We have some versions here, different versions, and then we have some dependencies. So we are going to use this dependency in multiple different modules. So to centralize all this dependency related information, we are going to create one directory which will be called as buildSrc, and then we are going to use Kotlin DSL as well. So that will allow us to write this dependency related code in a very neat and clean way inside our modular architecture code base. Okay, and to create a buildSrc directory, we can just click on this project label here, and then we can click on one new directory we need, and then we can name it as buildSrc. Okay, so one directory is created here. So now we have build src directory. Now we need to add all the dependencies here, but we are familiar that this Gradle kind of code, but this time we are going to use Kotlin DSL basically. Kotlin DSL is adopted from Kotlin itself, and as we are already using Kotlin in our project, so it will be very helpful to use Kotlin DSL. Okay, so to enable Kotlin DSL, inside our buildSrc folder, we can just create one empty file. Okay, and we can name it as build.gradle.kts. Okay, this is basically Kotlin here, and now you can see there is one Kotlin symbol, so we can write the code here in Kotlin language. Okay, now we are going to write one import statement, and this will be in Kotlin language itself. We are going to import Gradle DSL support basically. So we will be writing org.gradle.kotlin.dsl, and then we will be writing Kotlin DSL. So no need to worry about this import statement. This is basically we are just importing Kotlin DSL support in simple terms. Now you can just click on this sync now. Okay, and just notice here this build src is having one Gradle folder now, one build folder now, and one file which we already created, and when we synced it created respective Gradle folders here. And you can see this build src also enhanced like one small module here, and this build src folder is also highlighted as a directory now. And then inside this we can just write few things. We can just write one plugin, okay, and inside this we will just write the same Kotlin DSL plugin, okay. See, this is the statement we was trying to write just to import this plugin. Okay, so we need Kotlin DSL plugin, and that's why we wanted to write this import statement. Okay, and then we can just write repositories, okay, and this plugin will be available inside Maven Central. Okay, this one, and then we can try to sync this. Okay, so we are just trying to import one new plugin and our Gradle is in offline mode, so we can just enable it. So most of you will be already familiar with this, but if not, this is Gradle online and offline mode. That means if we are trying to add one new dependency or a plugin, which we are trying to do here, Kotlin DSL, so we need to enable this, and then we can click on this sync now. So it will try to download from this Maven Central this respective plugin inside our project. So we have now enabled it. Okay, so it's trying to download the necessary things here. You will be wondering then why I am keeping it as offline so that whenever I am trying to sync my project, it does not always try to download. Okay, so if something is available in our offline mode, just use from there, do not download every time. Okay, just let it complete and then we will move next. Okay, so our build is successful. That means this plugin is now available inside our project. We can click on this offline mode, and then now we can come inside this build src directory, and now we want to define all the dependencies and their respective versions. Okay, so we can just create one new directory, src. We can just take this one. Okay, and now inside this directory we can just create one Kotlin file. We can use object for now, and then we can just name it as versions. So now we have one versions file. Here we need to define all the version related to plugins or dependency we are going to use in our application. So let's go to our build.gradle file of our app module, and let's take this just to show you how we can define a version. Let me just paste it here, and then this is our core ktx. So just take this name here. Okay, define it core ktx, or name it like this in camel case, and then let's take this version here from this dependency like this. Okay, now we need all of these things, so let me just copy all of these for now. Okay, and let's define the next one, app compact, and the version number is 1.5.1, or give it well. Next one is material, and the version will be 1.7.0. Okay, next one is constraint layout, and the version is 2.1.4. Okay, and JUnit. Okay, this version we need here, and then espresso core and this version. Okay, this is the espresso core version. Okay, now let's delete all of these things. So these are the early dependency we have, so we have defined versions for those. okay, for these things. Now we have versions, we need to define one more file, dependencies, okay, for all of these dependencies. We need to simplify this also. We don't need to write this entire statement in all of modules build.gradle files, okay. So we'll define one dependencies file, we will name it dependencies, okay, and then this will also be an object, okay. Inside this we can just take these again. This will be a one-time task, but it will be very helpful. Just see. Now we will define this core KTX. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to write like this, and then we will just take this statement. Okay. Now we need this version. Okay. So inside this version, what we are going to do, we are going to use from our version class which we just defined. So we can just take versions and then core KTX. So this is simplifying. It is taking version from here and then this is defining one dependency here. Okay. Now to make it more enhanced, what we can do, we can use lazy operator and we can use while lazy like this. Okay. So this is like we have created one core KTX dependency inside our dependency object, and it will initialize with the lazy operator and it will take the respective version from our version class. Okay. Similarly, we are going to define the next one. This is app compact. So we will just use lazy here as well. We will take from here. We will remove this. We will take from version app compact like this. Okay. Now similarly, let me define four others. Here it is material. Let me take material and let me take this. Constraint layout. Constraint layout. We'll take this as well. Then we will take JUnit. And this we will replace with versions dot JUnit. This will be espresso core. Okay. Now we have defined the dependencies as well with the help of our versions and everything. Okay, so now to summarize, we have created one buildSrc directory. Inside that, we have added our .kts file, build.gradle.kts, and inside this we have told, hey, we are going to use Kotlin DSL plugin. Okay, and then it enabled Kotlin DSL plugin inside our project, and then we have created one directory Java, and inside that first we have defined the version. These are the version number what we are going to use if in future we add some other dependency. So first we will add one version here and then we will define the respective dependency inside this class. We will use the versions from our versions file. Okay, now we need to close this and we need to go inside our build.gradle of our app module. So how we can replace these things? So this is the old school Gradle file of our app module. So inside app module, let's create one new file and name it as build.gradle. dot kts. Okay, this is in the same repository. Just below this build.gradle we have created this new kts file. So now we will be writing all this code inside this new file which we created with the help of Kotlin DSL. Okay, so let's sync our project once after we created this kts file. Okay, now let's take this in the right side. Now we will be writing all this code with the help of Kotlin DSL. So we will be just writing plugins first. Okay, inside this we will just take this id. We are just converting line by line, so we will just take this application and we will just write like this, and the second one is this, so we will just write this as well. And let's try to sync our project. Okay, this is done. Then the next part is Android. So the compile SDK 32, these things also let's define inside our versions. So we'll go to versions and let's define these. Well, compile SDK 32, this value we will just take. Okay, then we will take another one, minimum SDK, we will take this, we will take target SDK also. Let's define version code and version name also. We'll be using this later on. Basically we need version code and version name at the time of release. So as we are already centralizing the version management, we have defined these value also. So now we need this compile SDK. So inside Kotlin DSL we just need to write compile SDK version, and we can just take from our versions dot compile SDK. Okay, then inside this we just need to write default config, and inside default config we can just take this application ID first, and this will be with the help of equal to. Let's scroll a little bit here. Then we need to define minimum SDK like this. Here we will just take minimum SDK. Then we need to define target SDK as well. Here we will take target SDK. Okay, and similarly we will define version code with the help of equal to versions dot version code. Same way version name as well. Okay, like this. The next line is this test runner. For now let's convert this also with the help of equal to. Now sync our project once just to see all of these statements are fine. So now let's move to next block, build types. So we can close this and we can just write another one, build types, and here this release one we need to write get y name, and here we can just write release. Inside this minify enabled will become is minify enabled like this, and this will be false for now. And then we can just write proguard files. This will be inside one bracket like this. Same way we just added this proguard files also. Now we need to add next block, that will be our compile options. So we can just take this from here. We can add little bit changes are there in the syntax as you can see. So here we can just assign with the help of equal to. Okay, and same way for target compatibility as well, like this. Then we can take this Kotlin compile options as well. We can add here same way. Okay, one more thing. I think there are few changes which we need to do. We just need to double colon here in Kotlin DSL. I think in build type release we have already used, but here in the file names also we need to use double quotations. Similarly here as well. Okay, these errors are solved. Now there are this mistyped version code it is, and there are few more things. These methods are deprecated, so we can just directly use like this with the help of equal to. Similarly here as well we can use like this, and same way the target SDK also can be used with the help of equal to. Okay, so now we have used the latest way of using Kotlin DSL, and this error is also solved. Now we need to define this dependencies with the help of the files which we created, right? So let me just take this and close this just to explain you better. So we have these dependencies. Okay, let me comment this, and then we will define one dependencies block, this one, and here we need to define all the dependency with the help of our versions and our dependency class which we created. Okay, so here we have these dependency. Now what we need to do, we just need to define one implementation, and then what we will do, we will just take dependencies dot first is core KTX. So like this we will define first dependency. So we need this, right, to define core KTX. So we have defined implementation dependencies core KTX. So this will take us here. Core KTX will be the same dependency as it was here, and then for version it will go further to versions file. Okay, like this. For next we can just define this implementation, and then we can use dependencies, and the second one is app compat, and for third one we can just take material. Okay, and then we can use the same way for constraint layout. But now we need to notice one difference here. All these dependencies was using implementation, but for JUnit we need to take this test implementation. Okay, and then we can just add JUnit like this. For Android test implementation we can just take the same way, dependencies dot extension JUnit, this one, and the last one espresso core. Okay, like this we have defined all the dependencies. So now we can remove this. Now this entire file is defined with Kotlin DSL and it's working fine or not. Let's try to check by running this application. Okay, so our project has been started. That means all this Kotlin DSL code is working fine. So now let's close this. For this app module, we have converted our build.gradle file into KTS. And for this newly created src build src directory also, we have added the dependencies normal plugin using this build.gradle.kts mode itself. Now we have one file at our project level, project root level, build.gradle. For this also, let's create one DSL equivalent file. We can just create one equivalent KTS file. So we can just use build.gradle.kts. And now let's open this inside right side. And here we have some plugins and one task. So let's write in Kotlin DSL. So we can just use plugins. Okay, and we can take this ID This will be our ID of a plugin. We can write in double colon, and then we just need to take this and write it here. Okay. Only thing we need to change, we need to use double colon here. Okay. Let's take the second one. For this as well, we'll use the same syntax, and just in version number as well, we will change using double colons. Okay. For the third plugins also, we need to do the same thing. This is a one time thing only. So here as well, and I have modified it here as well. Now we have one task. So in Kotlin DSL, we just need to register a task. So we just need to use task dot register. Okay, and this is kind of a clean type, so we can just take clean, and then we need to give here the class name delete dot class. Okay, and then inside this we need to use this directory. Only thing we need to add this brackets. Now let's try to sync this. Okay, so our project is synced, so we can delete this old build.gradle file, and let me sync it once again. Yes, so our project is synced, and you can see DSL syntax is getting highlighted now. Okay, so now we have all the build.gradle using KTS app level, buildSrc level, and then our root project level also build.gradle.kts.